a place where you never get harmed.
Alright boyos, it's time for some Reddit drama. This is a bit of an impromptu video. Most of this is unscripted, so pardon me for any jank. I don't want to spend too much time on this one since this is the equivalent of high school level drama. However, as Warhammer gets more and more mainstream and as tabletop IPs occupy more and more of an online presence, I believe this issue is something that needs to be addressed eventually, because I feel like this will affect how Warhammer as a community and as a business will evolve in the long term. Now before I kick this off, as you can tell from the thumbnail, this is going to be about Reddit, so you know straight away that there is a 100% chance that this is going to be absolutely retarded. And as retarded it may be, this is something that has already affected thousands of hobbyists. Now as a disclaimer, I am not a Reddit expert. While I have browsed Reddit before for useful information like tech troubleshooting threads, as I mentioned in my past community post, I did not have an account on the site previously, nor have I posted on the site before. So a few things may be incorrect, feel free to correct me down below. It is all purely a matter of personal taste, as I vibe more with forums like Daka for example, and because the whole Reddit layout is just too new age and confusing for me to use recreationally. As far as I am concerned, it's the Eye of Terror if it is written for the Warhammer Adventure children's book series. To cut to the chase, the biggest 40k fan subreddit, subs like Grimdank, Warhammer 40k, and a few other large fan subreddits are now automatically banning users for being members of or partaking in, let's say, subreddits of inferior culture. I think the best example in this case includes, and is not limited to, r/Horus Galaxy, where here you can see that there is an entire mega thread addressing this situation. What you have here is that you have people who are going around doing their business, posting memes and all that, you know, doing the usual 40k stuff, and were suddenly and automatically tagged and ejected from the wider 40k Reddit community by a safety bot, though through no fault of their own. We have examples of people who are asking genuine questions as to how to maximize their enjoyment in Warhammer who are getting banned. And here we have this guy who was just partaking in the hobby by posting pictures of his finished models, and he got absolutely annihilated by the mods like it's a scene from Danganronpa or something. Admittedly, there are some spicy posts, but the mods seem to do a relatively good job of pruning posts that go too far, ensuring things stay within the website's overall guidelines. Which makes the situation even more bizarre because as far as I can tell, Horus Galaxy is not really that much different from the main 40k subs. They seem to have a hate boner for Bricky and Major Kill for some reason, but aside from that, it is just a regular mosh pit of memes, hobby photos, and FLGS disaster stories. The main difference that I can see is that this subreddit is apparently censorship-free, take that as you will. Again, being part of Reddit, they still have to follow Reddit guidelines, so don't expect anything too crazy here. Though on one hand, a part of me isn't too bothered by the entire situation, because firstly, it is freedom of association. If it is your own subreddit, then you can play by your own rules. And on the other hand, this is just a subreddit at the end of the day, so who gives a f. However, on the third hand, with Reddit being such a large platform, it does produce an effect on how Warhammer carries on in the future. In the way, Warhammer as a setting is almost like its own chaos god at this point. Speaking metaphorically, the setting does come with a fixed shape with fixed ideas, though some features on that shape are more nebulous, and some might argue that it is getting more fluid as time goes on, but that is another subject entirely. At the end of the day, for better or worse, the entity that we call Warhammer is what GW wants it to be. And what does GW want it to be? Well, GW wants it to be the chaos god of money printing. Therefore, GW as a business will be concerned with how us, the consumer, perceives everything. Everything from what models we want to our purchasing behavior in order to maximize the chance for GW to sell us something. Which means that when you have an online platform such as r/Warhammer 40k where literally millions of your fans congregate together, that place is going to draw the eye of GW whenever the company plans its next model release or narrative expansion. And now it appears that a group of individuals have now created a safe space for themselves, and not just only some of the larger 40k fan subreddits, but the largest Warhammer subreddit as well. To paraphrase, they are using the Warhammer name to push their own personal agenda. Of course, the possibility is out there that maybe perhaps GW is the one pulling all the strings. Maybe GW is the Shadow Lord all along. But I am disinclined to believe that, not just because they are the ones who came up with the whole Warhammer is for everyone statement, but this is just too bold-faced for them to be there doing when the potential backlash and ridicule is considered. Or should I say, Reddit-cule. mean, I am not like a certain someone who lives in the basement of GWHQ, so who knows what GW is thinking. And what is going to happen is that when GW's marketing look into their largest online platforms, such as the largest subreddit with over 1 million members, they are going to get a very skewed and filtered set of data points. And no doubt GW does take notice of the online platforms when planning their new releases. A good example of this is the Deathcore of Krieg. Whereas most Imperial Armor/Forge World models are in the process of being discontinued and dumped into the Legends Forever box, it is obvious that someone in GW has taken notice of the Deathcore's popularity within the meme sphere, and so suddenly the Deathcore are now appended to a head of even more historically established regiments like the Catachans. It is when that perception of what the market wants becomes distorted. That is when divisive shit happens. And unfortunately, what is happening right now, I feel like will become a major contributor to that. Because at the end of the day, the Warhammer player base with opposing points of view to some Reddit mods are still part of the player ecosystem. And this is one of the core reasons as to why I am making this video. As a person who enjoyed previous editions and returning recently in the 9th edition, the community feels very divisive nowadays. Whilst that has always been the case, for example, competitive versus casual play shitposting has always been a thing since at least 6th edition, in these last few years, there seems to be a lack of will in attempting to understand each other, which has crystallized into what we are seeing in front of us right now. Like, come on man, I barely have over 600 subs, and I am already getting emails to cover female custodies. Aside from what I just addressed, there is another secondary concern, and that mainly has to do with how Reddit is laid out, and it concerns new fans coming into the hobby. This is something that I feel I am more qualified to address than larger, more established creators, as I just went through the whole quote-unquote new Reddit experience, i.e. karma purgatory. And I feel like this is a consideration that easily flies under the radar. That is, you can't fucking post in any of the 40k subreddits until you have enough update points. The entire situation reeks of that meme where a job description needed 5 years experience for an entry-level job. Because, as some of you may notice, this is a bit of a new channel. I recently bought myself a new drawing tablet, so I'm dabbling into art as well. So as you do when you are setting things up, I was getting my social media account sorted. You know, the usual. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, all that stuff. I may not use it recreationally, but that infrastructure needs to be there. That is just how I am used to doing things. It also personally annoys me a little when my username gets taken. I probably shouldn't put this in the video. But back to the actual topic. You cannot post your 40k related art, memes, or any of your hobby projects until you have accumulated enough updates.
You must construct additional ass.
So, holy shit, you have this awesome new model or hobby idea that you want to show off to the wider community? Or maybe you just want to say hi. Well, now you can't, you are literally stuck. If you were a sensible person, you would attempt to Google yourself out of this pickle, where you would probably find that Reddit will tell you to go and suck a cock. Check out r/new to Reddit. And long story short, the places where it directs you to gather updates are either not very interesting what you're looking for, and or you'd mentally check out because this shit takes too long. Psst, but hey, guess what? There is a place where you can post and do all of the above and still get updates. The more precognitive of my viewers can tell exactly where this is going, because chances are you'd find yourself posting in Horse Galaxy and suddenly your green newbie ass is grass because congratulations, you've just been automatically banned from 80 to 90% of the wider Warhammer Reddit community. There is also this, but I don't know how enforced this is and how deeply this will affect the issue. I think I have wasted enough time on this subject. Normally, I would not really care that much about Reddit, but as 40k becomes more and more mainstream, and as the world becomes more and more connected with online interactions becoming more common, this is going to be an ever-expanding issue. At the end of the day, I don't think this video itself will do that much. I think my videos only get around 1,000 to 2,000 views on average, and if I want to be honest, I hope this video does not pick up either, so I am not incentivized to cover any more Reddit drama ever again. Maybe a larger channel might be interested in looking into this, maybe not. I mean, I could just be overreacting and this is all just a nothing burger. Then again, most 40k channels are lore channels who are more interested in covering why a GNC defect causes a certain Primaris Space Marine chapter to have the asshole disappear or something. Anyways, apologies if I ruined anyone's day and if I missed anything in this video. I was in the middle of scripting my next video. It's a semi-humorous one, a guide about introducing your family to 40k this holiday season. The goal here is to draw attention to what is going on, so if there is more to this or if I made a mistake somewhere, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for your time, take care, I'll see you guys in the next one.